In this video, I'll try to explain about behaviorism. There will be two big points on my presentation. The first is about behaviorism and learning, and the second one is about Skinner's operant conditioning method. To get a better understanding about these 2 points, we need to define what behaviorism actually is. Actually, behaviorism could be understood through its morphological structure. The word behaviorism is formed or derived from behavior word and then ism suffix. Behavior itself could be defined as the action or reactions, as well as how animals or persons respond or conduct something under a specified situation or stimulus. If it should be defined into one word, perhaps attitude is quite representative for behavior. And the next derivation of the word behaviorism is ism suffix. If we consult a dictionary, the ism is defined as doctrine, belief, practice, or even principle. This ism suffix will form over a directory to become a noun. As a consequence, if we combine these two, behavior and then ism, as in behaviorism, it could be defined then that it is a belief about how a person or animal behaves or responds toward a particular situation or stimuli. And the next explanation is about behaviorism and learning. If we try to correlate between behaviorism and learning into one comprehensive idea, it would be more on belief or theory of learning. In this context, behaviorism would be applied in the process of learning itself. This learning theory is also known or also called as behavioristic learning. In this behavioristic learning, learning is seen as an interactive process between stimulus and responses. However, what it means by stimulus and responses here should grant observable condition, or in other words, either stimulus or responses should be observable and measurable. And following the condition, behavioristic learning will have students experience behavior change. So behavior change. Moreover, the changes would increase more if students receive reinforcement and decrease when they get punishment. Besides Gage and Berliner, some scientists like Thorndike, Watson, Hull, Guthrie, and Skinner are also known to study about behaviorism. From the mentioned, Skinner is one of the famous scientists in behavioristic learning. Skinner's theory of operant conditioning is widely used in today's teaching and learning process. Operant conditioning itself is a method of learning that occurs through rewards and punishments for behavior. And through operant conditioning, an individual makes an association between a particular behavior and a consequence. That's what Skinner said in 1938. And by having a base on Thorndike's law of effect, Skinner also introduced a new term in behavioristic learning, that is reinforcement. With reinforcement, the desired or the wanted behavior should be reinforced to make people repeat the behavior as a consequence of the reinforcement, or it could be said that the behavior is strengthened. In contrast, if the behavior receives no reinforcement or without reinforcement, there is a probability that people will not repeat the desired behavior, or they forget or stop the behavior. And it makes sense because they receive no reinforcement. Therefore, we can say that the behavior is weakened because it received no reinforcement. Skinner then also identified that there are 3 kinds of operants or responses. They are neutral, reinforcers, and punishers. For neutral operants, It indicates that the responses from the environments that neither increase nor decrease the probability of a behavior being repeated, while for reinforcers operant. It's like the responses from the environments that increase the probability of a behavior being repeated. And the reinforcers could be either positive or negative. If the reinforcement applied is positive, the stimulus given is by adding pleasant things or reward. The purpose of having this reward is of course to increase the behavior which is desired by reinforcers or teacher if it is in learning context, so that the likelihood of the behavior being repeated in a future situation is increased. Say for example, a teacher rewards students for addressing a brilliant question before the class is begun by the teacher. Here, after receiving the reward, the students will understand that the behavior of volunteering question is good and it has a credit on it, as well as it shows an active participation. For this stimulus given by the teacher, the probability of student repeating the behavior in the next occasion is increased. This is what we call the behavior is strengthened by the reinforcer. Then, if the reinforcement given is in the form of negative reinforcement, the stimulus given will prevent the unpleasant behavior by removing the aversive stimulus in its process. The goal is similar to what positive reinforcement has, that is, to increase the wanted behavior to be repeated in future situations. And let's take an example of a student who do not make noise when their teacher explains a lesson. The action is done to make her teacher stop complaining and scolding. Because of the unpleasant response from teacher that is scolding and complaining, now students seriously listen to their teacher's explanation and not make noise. I think that's clear. Well, we come to the last operant, that is punishers. It is actually the responses from the environment that decrease the likelihood of a behavior being repeated. Punishment weakens behavior. Skinner differentiated this from negative reinforcement by explaining that the stimulus given is an unpleasant stimulus to stop the unwanted behavior of responders. For example, a student does not finish his homework. Because of that, his teacher asks him to finish more new homework. Asking the student to finish more new homework is a punishment from the teacher to stop the student behavior by adding an unpleasant thing. That's all my explanation. I hope you'll find this video useful for any reason. Thank you so much for watching. See you again on the next video.